So if any of you follow me on Instagram or are friends with me on Facebook, then a lot of you do know that back in August, I found out that I was actually pregnant. Um, Me and my boyfriend, we were not trying to conceive, but we were not trying, if that makes any sense. So I'm not sure exactly when, but I found out the day. Actually, no, I am totally lying. So, like 2 weeks before I actually took a pregnancy test, I was just having symptoms, my breast started hurting and I was like super fatigued. I was like really tired. I was cramping. Um, the normal stuff. So, me and my best friend, our periods are synced. So, anytime that she has her period, shortly after she gets off, I start. So, back in August, she finally got on her cycle, and I was like, hey, let me know whenever you get off because I'm supposed to start like right after you. So she actually didn't inform me till like 2 days later, and I was just like, well, damn, I'm pregnant. So me and my boyfriend, we were planning like a family trip to San Antonio, and we went ahead, we planned it. We're dealing with some like personal stuff here at our apartment. Um, some stuff had like popped off, and he ended up wanting to leave like the very next day. So the day before, I was actually supposed to go get my hair done, which I did. I left my house like around 1, and one of my friends was supposed to do my hair, and I was just gonna get it braided. I was going to San Antonio. I didn't want to deal with my hair. I didn't want to straighten it, didn't want to do anything to it. I was like, if I have it in braids, it'll be like easy. Just get up, fix my edges, and get dressed and go. So I went to go get my hair done. I believe she made like 2 braids before I like completely passed out. And she said like I threw up all over myself. Her and her boyfriend had to like help wake me up. Um, they helped me upstairs. I threw up again upstairs in their bathroom. Um, and she was like, you know what, like you're not okay to drive, like just go to sleep on my bed, which I did. I think I fell asleep for like about 4 or 5 hours. Whenever I woke up, it was pretty dark outside, so whenever I made it home, it was like 9. um Through the whole time that I was like in her bathroom, I was like, bro, like I know I'm pregnant, like I feel it, like I know I am. She was like, yeah, I think you are too. So when I left her house, I did stop at Walmart. I got 2 pregnancy tests and a tres leches cake because I was craving it. I got home, and once I got home, my boyfriend left. And then I took the pregnancy test. They both like instantly came out positive, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, in that point in time, I really wasn't wanting a baby because I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on YouTube, I'm gonna focus on makeup, like I'm gonna get down and dirty and put my foot in the mud and just go for it. It was like I was not gonna let anything stop me. So I took the pregnancy test. He came back. We had got into like a little scuffle, disagreement, argument type thing. So then, like, the way I told him wasn't the way I originally had planned to tell him, but I ended up telling him that night. Um, I'm not even gonna lie. I was pretty angry whenever I found out I was pregnant. I I was angry just because the whole year and a half before I got pregnant, I wanted a baby. I wanted a baby so bad. I'm gonna try not to cry. I wanted a baby so bad, and it just wasn't happening for me. So then I got into this mindset where I was just like, you know what? I don't want a baby anymore. I'm going to focus on me, on my career, and what I want to happen within the next year or so with makeup. So that was my focus. So then whatever happened here at the apartment, that happened. It upset him. So he was like, I want to go to San Antonio like tomorrow. So I was like, okay. We ended up going to San Antonio. We had a great time. My daughter, London, she loved it. She enjoyed it. Her favorite spot, her favorite part of it all was the Rainforest Cafe, which was her first time going, my first time going, and I do believe my boyfriend's first time going. It was fun. It was expensive, and the food was gross. But aside from that, I enjoyed San Antonio, and I definitely would go back again. So fast forward to returning to Dallas. On our way back from San Antonio to our home, we stopped at Buc-ee's. I purchased like my first baby accessory, which was like one of those little animal heads, and like the body was like a blanket. It's a little elephant. I should have grabbed it, but it's in the room. So we get home, we're super tired. I carry on like maybe, I want to say like 2 or 3 more weeks after that, after we got here. I was steady like trying to find a doctor, trying to get seen, called OBGYNs like everywhere, in Plano and Frisco and North Dallas, like in Cedar Hill, like every area that you can possibly think of in Dallas, like I called to try to make an appointment. Every OBGYN that I was calling told me that I wasn't going to be able to be seen until I was past 8 weeks. So I was just like, okay. So fast forward to just giving up on that. I finally, got on the pregnancy Medicaid. And then I had to change. I finally found a doctor that I was wanting to go see because he had good reviews. So I was like really adamant on making the appointment with him. So I had to transfer my plan that I had for the Medicaid to a different plan that they accepted. So I did that. And then fast forward to one night, I started feeling empty on the inside. And it wasn't like an empty like when you're hungry. I just no longer felt pregnant. I didn't think much of it until I started cramping. Once I was cramping, I started Googling stuff, and I kept reading like the first sign of cramping with pregnancy was a miscarriage. But then again, I wasn't spotting, I wasn't bleeding. I had been pregnant before, so I was like, I know what implantation bleeding looks like. I didn't have it with London, and I do understand, each pregnancy is going to be different from one another. So I was just like, maybe this one's definitely going to be different from my first one. So I was cramping for at least 4 days, and then I started bleeding. Now, it wasn't like spotting. It was enough blood to alarm me. So, my boyfriend's a firefighter, so he was at work at that time. So I called him and I was like, hey, I'm bleeding. I think I'm gonna go to the ER. He was like, fine, I'll meet you there. So he ended up meeting me there at the ER. They got me checked in pretty fast. And then, So they got me dressed, they got me in a room. They explained everything that I was gonna have to go through, you know, complaining with what I was complaining with or about, you know, since I was pregnant. So they went ahead, they drew blood, they did a urine sample just to verify that I was in fact pregnant. So once they verified all that, and they took blood to run HCG levels, then the x-ray tech or the person who does like the ultrasounds came in. They got me, they took me back to the ultrasound room. They did an ultrasound. At that time that I went back there, all I was just really doing was praying, and I was just praying that my baby was going to be okay, that I was okay, that it wasn't in fact a miscarriage. The tech really wasn't speaking to me. I didn't ask her any questions. What I did notice was that they weren't allowing me to see the screen, you know, where you see like your uterus. Your uterus and like where the baby is at. She like scooted it up all the way to her, to where whenever you're laying down, it's probably about a little bit below your waist. So I really couldn't tell like what was on the screen. I didn't see anything, so I didn't ask anything. After she did what she did the probe ultrasound, and she also did like the on top with the actual like scope. So then I went back to my room and I just started crying because I was just like, I feel it, you know. And I just told him, I was like, she didn't let me see the screen, which I felt was weird, you know. I felt it in my bones that I was miscarrying. So finally, the doctor came in. He was just like, we're gonna do a pelvic exam just to see if your cervix is still closed. You know, if it's closed, then you're not having a miscarriage. Your HCG levels are fine. They're perfectly normal. They're at where they're supposed to be at. So then he did the pelvic exam. Everything came out normal. So that was a relief, right? So they discharged me. I went home. I was perfectly fine that night. I was still cramping, and he was just like, you have a little bit of blood, but not a lot to where it's gonna alarm me. Your cervix is a little torn, but that could have been from, you know, a coughing episode, from you sneezing too hard, from, you know, rough sex, so forth and so on. So he just gave me a list of what could have caused it, but it wasn't something that alarmed him to where he's just like, oh no, well, you know, you're in fact having a miscarriage. So then after that, I went home normal. You know, I got home, I was still cramping, I ate, and I fell asleep. The next day, I woke up and it was still the same amount of bleeding. I was still cramping the same, but then my lower back started hurting. And I know it's not a smart thing to do, to rush to your phone, get Google, and start searching stuff, because Google can literally, you can say you have a migraine and it'll tell you have brain cancer, and that's just how Google rolls. Which is, it's funny, but it's in all actuality, like, it's really not, because you scare yourself more than you should. But then I Googled, you know, pregnancy along with cramping and lower back pain, and miscarriage was the first thing that popped up. So I went about my day. I just tried not to stress myself out about it. Again, my boyfriend was at work. I was here with our 3-year-old, and I went live on Facebook. I was doing a makeup look, and it was around 10. Around 10, in the middle of the live, I had to go use the restroom. So I got up and I was like, excuse me, you guys, I have to go to the restroom. Whatever, I got up, I went to the restroom, and it was just like so much blood that I cried. And I knew right then that I was having a miscarriage. So I returned to my live and I was like, you know, girls, like, I'm bleeding. And everybody was like, you should go to the ER, you should go to the ER, you should go to the ER. I didn't, just because, you know, when you're going through a miscarriage or you're having a miscarriage, there's nothing that a doctor can really do to stop it. So I took a picture of the blood and I sent it to my boyfriend, and I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm losing this baby. So I just waited it out the whole night after my live. It was like every 5 minutes I was getting up to go use the restroom, and it was just like more and more and more blood, and then I started clotting. I'm sorry. So the next morning he gets off like around 8ish, and the cramping gets a little stronger, and like by the minute it just gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and like I don't have a good pain tolerance. So around like 9, I was just like, you know what, I can't take this pain, like we have to go to the ER. So as soon as I got to the ER, I let them know that I was having a miscarriage. They got me in right away. They got me in a room. They got me changed. They had a urine sample. They did blood work. And right away, they took me to the back to get another ultrasound. This time, it was a whole different lady. Super sweet lady. So when I laid down, mind you, I was crying this entire time. So whenever I laid down, she was just like trying to like soothe me, and was just like, you know what, like, I'm sorry that you're going through this. Like, I know it's scary. And then like I started asking her questions, and I was like, you know, can I see the screen? Is there any way that y'all can print out like a sonogram for me? What else did I ask her? And she was just like, you know, legally I can't give you any information simply because we are not an OBGYN office. So I can't legally tell you anything. So I just started crying even more because I felt like she was in a way lying to me. But then she was like, you know what, dear, like, I'm so sorry you're going through this. So she was like, screw this. She turned the screen, she showed me, and she was like, here's your uterus and here's the sac. She was like, and I'm sorry, but it's empty. So I just broke down. So she turned the screen back to her so she can read it. And she was just like looking in my ovaries and asking me, you know, which one hurt the most. And I was like, my left one. And she was like, well, you do know that your ovaries take turns each month dropping an egg, correct? And I was like, no, I did not know that. And she was like, yeah. She was like, well, with you, both ovaries dropped an egg. So it literally went from me bawling to just like, just shut it off, and like this. And I was like, so wait, what do you mean? Like, I, I have twins? And she said, yes, ma'am, you were gonna have twins. So again, like, here come the waterworks. So she finishes the exam. She finishes like examining me. She tells me to clean myself off. I get wheelchaired back to my room, and my boyfriend's waiting there with me, or waiting there for me with our daughter. And he's like, so what's going on? And I just break down. It's like we were gonna have twins. And he was like, twins? Like what? Like shocked. And twins run in my family. My aunt was a twin, but her twin did not make it. So it was kind of a shocker to me that I carried that gene. So I asked him, I was like, does twins run in your family? And he was like, yeah. So after they did that, like, my pain was unbearable. They gave me a shot of morphine, and soon after, I had to use the restroom, and like, I had to poop, and it was like a constant, like, getting up literally like every 5 minutes. Like, my body could literally tell. And it's so crazy how your body works when it literally, your brain is telling your body like, hey, you need to get rid of this. Like, it's not supposed to be here, you know, something died, or it's just a toxic thing to have inside of you. So it was just crazy how, like, I had to go use the restroom literally like every 5 minutes. I passed one of the babies in the toilet, which I have a picture of, but I don't feel like I should post it just because I don't want to get the video demonetized or anything like that. And then soon after, they brought me in and they gave me the morphine shot. The doctor came in to do the pelvic exam, and he was just like, okay, well, we're going to do the pelvic exam. So I got ready for that. And then it was really fast. It was super fast. He told me to put my legs up. I did that, and like 3 seconds, he was just like, okay, I'm done. I pulled the tissue out, and I was just like, the tissue? Like, my baby, like, it's done? And he was just like, yep, I pulled the tissue. I was like, my baby? Like, I kind of felt like, I completely understand, you know, medical terminology, but as a doctor having sympathy for a parent that is going through that, like, I kind of felt like it was disrespectful to call someone's baby a tissue. That was my only thing there. So he put it in the cup, and I was like, can I see it? And he was like, yeah, of course. So I looked at it, and you could just see where the little head was. You could see where the body was. You can see like where the tail that was gonna turn into the baby's spine was at. You could see the little bitty umbilical cord. And he was just like, okay, we'll send it off to the labs. I honestly, as weird as it may sound, I wanted to keep it. Call me weird, call me whatever. I mean, it was my baby, you know? And it was just like, I don't know, man. Like, the feeling you have when you're actually, like, you actually see it, it's just like a stab in the heart. I'm still a month later, you know, dealing with, today is September 21st, I believe. So a month later, I miscarried on the 18th of August. I turned 8 weeks that day that I miscarried. So September 18th was a month, a day after my birthday. So a month later, like, I'm still grieving, I'm still coping. I don't even want to say sucks, because that is an understatement. It's and it I know there's a lot of people who are gonna be like, but you were only 8 weeks. Like, it really, to a mother, whether you were 3 days into a pregnancy, whether you were 4 weeks or 10 weeks or 20 weeks or even further along in your pregnancy, a loss is still a loss. It doesn't matter what scale or what side of the spectrum you're on, a loss is still a loss. When you lose your infant, or when you lose your baby, or your pregnancy just fails, it's a lot of emotion that goes into it. It's not just sadness. I've been sad, I've been angry, I've been jealous, you know, seeing other women pregnant. I've been depressed, the anxiety that comes along with it. Like, the physical pain doesn't amount to the emotional pain and the mental pain that you go through with a miscarriage. So I just want to let everybody know that whoever's watching this, if you've gone through a miscarriage, you're not alone. And not only are you not alone in losing your baby, but you're not alone in the feelings that you have. I talk about my miscarriage a lot more than I thought I would, whether it be in my personal notes on my phone, or to my friends, to my boyfriend, to my family. On Facebook, I go live and I talk about it. It's really hard not to blame yourself, which I've done. And I can't sit here and tell you don't blame yourself, because that's just a feeling that you're gonna have. It's inevitable to feel like that. There's videos that I've watched that some women go through a miscarriage, have had successful pregnancies, numerous pregnancies afterwards, and still mourn the loss of that miscarriage or that baby or that fetus. And it's just crazy to me, because I pray for peace like nobody's business, because I do not like feeling like this. I feel crazy. I literally feel so crazy, because one minute I could be perfectly fine, and then the minute that I'm alone, I just break down and cry. At the stores, you know, when I'm at Walmart or any other store, like, and I see a pregnant person coming my way, or someone with a baby, like, I try to, like, dodge them. when I take a shower and I'm like naked or whatever and I look at my stomach, like I cry. I cry every day that I'm in the shower. Um, so it's hard. Um, it's really hard. Keeping myself busy helps. You know, with my daughter's birthday being next month, I am keeping myself busy and like making her tutu and making like centerpieces. Just having certain projects to keep your mind busy and away from that, it helps. I find that talking about it helps a lot. You'd be surprised at the women who have reached out to me and who have expressed their feelings to me on their miscarriages. Um, so being able to talk with someone who genuinely feels the way you do, who understands what you're going through and how you feel, like that helps a lot. Um, I've thought about going and seeing a therapist, but at the same time, I don't want to do that, you know. Um, I don't know. That's just my personal preference on that. It's definitely hard, you guys. I'm still dealing with it. I don't know when I will get better. You know, time will only tell. Um, and it's kind of cliche to even say that, you know, that time heals, but I can say that within the month, I'm a lot better than what I was in the very beginning. Um, I shut down completely for like 2 or 3 days after the miscarriage. I just stayed in bed. And then it took me about a week or two to finally go out and like hang out with friends. Um, I smoke tobacco. So for me to find an outlet in smoking my tobacco helped a bit. I'm not even gonna say a little bit. It helped a lot a bit. Now I'm not condoning or, you know, pressuring y'all or even trying to tell y'all to find comfort in smoking, because I'm not doing that. That is just me and what I've done. I smoked before, and you know, I'll stop when my next pregnancy comes around. Um, so now where I'm at, me and my boyfriend are slowly but surely getting on the same page of trying to conceive again. And that in itself is hard because, in a way, I feel guilty because I feel like I'm trying to fill a void. I feel guilty because I feel like I'm trying to move too fast. And, you know, that I should be sad and I should remain sad for the loss that I had. But I also feel happy because I'm just like, it's a baby. That's a miracle, you know. It's a blessing. And it's a lot of mixed emotions, and that is perfectly okay. Don't let anybody tell you that the way you're feeling is not okay. Don't let anybody belittle you and make you feel worse than you already do, because that's only going to make your healing process longer and harder. Um, that's just my story, you guys, and I feel like y'all deserve to hear it. Um, I hope that with me sharing my story, I'm able to help at least one other person going through it. Um, and I don't mind if you follow me on my social media, and if you'd like to talk to me, you know, you're more than welcome to send me a message or comment down below, or even send me a DM on Instagram. I'm perfectly fine with it. So I think that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for listening and allowing me to share my story with y'all. I will see y'all in my next video. Yeah, so